Hello, everyone. Board Game Lawyer here. It's Friday evening. It's been a long week, and I thought I'd just sit down and play a nice casual game of Marvel Champions before I go to bed. And I thought I'd just kick the camera on and see what happens, bring you along for the ride. So tonight I decided I was going to play against the Sandman. I'm just going to play against Sandman in his standard form. So Sandman is a villain who has a scheme of 1, attack of 2. He does the Sandblast ability, which is a forced interrupt. When Sandman attacks you, that attack deals indirect damage. If your identity takes any amount of damage from that attack, resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. So the city streets is an environment that I have out there into play. It comes into play with the main scheme. But that's Sandman. When he does indirect damage, we place counters on the city streets. And I'll read that text later. But anyway, Sandman begins with 16 hit points. Hapless Pedestrians is his main scheme. It tells us that our content should be the Sandman and the City in Chaos, which I've included in my deck along with the standard encounter set. One modular set, Down to Earth. I took Down to Earth out and I put in the Marvel Champions monthly modular set. We'll see how that works out with Sandman. So our setup says search the encounter deck for the City Streets environment and put it into play and place 4 sand counters on it. So here's our City Streets environment. It reads, Surging Sands, special, place 1 sand counter here. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters here. Hero action, exhaust a character you control. Remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack. Limit once per round per player. So it comes into play with 4 sand counters on it. So I'll go grab those from my counters here. All right, so then we just need to flip over our Hapless Pedestrians. It begins with 2 threat on it. It threats out at 9. It says that it has a forced response after an acceleration token is placed on this scheme. Deal 3 indirect damage to the first player. If the stage is completed, the players lose the game. So I'll go find 2 threat to begin on Hapless Pedestrians, and I'll go ahead and shuffle my encounter deck. And it has there's the Marvel Champions Monthly Madness is the modular set that I've decided to include today. One of my favorite podcasts of all time. And so I really enjoy that modular set that those fellows put together over there. And I appreciate them sending that out to patrons of their podcast. So thanks, fellas, if you're watching. All right, so I'll shuffle up the encounter deck. Today I decided to play with one of the newer heroes. This is Ironheart. And so Ironheart has 3 versions, version 1, version 2, and version 3. We'll look at version 2 and version 3 if they just so happen to come into play. I'll just set them aside for now. But we'll take a look at version 1 of Ironheart. Ironheart has a thwart of 1, an attack of 2, a defense of 3. It has a level up ability, which is an action. Remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart, ready her, and swap her with version 2 Ironheart. So we managed to place progress counters on Ironheart in order to flip up to version 2. All right, so Riri Williams is her alter ego. She is a genius. She begins the game with this card. Set your other identities aside, which we did. She is a child prodigy. She does an action, spend a mental resource, place 1 progress counter on Riri Williams, limit once per round. And she begins the game with a hand size of 6 and 10 hit points. We might just flip over and look at her hero side. Her hero side has a hand size of 4, so added reason to want to level up because you get a larger hand size as you level up playing with Ironheart here. So it's interesting. She's a genius, so I decided to play with a lot of mental resources in my deck today. In fact, I think just about all the cards that I included in my deck today, besides the 3, so we've got the energy, genius, and strength that I included in here. So I do have some other icons, but most all of the cards that I put in my deck today are mental or wild resources. So I've already shuffled this up quite a bit. I'll just give it a nice little shuffle here. Drop my hand size of 6, and we're going to take on the Sandman, along with the Marvel Champions Monthly villains. All right. So I've got everything ready to go. All I need to draw is my hand size. So let's see what we get. We got Moxie. After you change form, your hero gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense until the end of the round, which that's pretty good. We also have U.S. Agent. Retaliate. After this character's attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. We have the Power of Leadership. We also have First Aid. And we draw Last Stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one more card is Moon Girl. All right, I like Moon Girl. So we'll hang on to Moon Girl for sure. I think we'll hang on to the Power of Leadership. Maybe even hang on to that U.S. Agent. And we'll discard Moxie, First Aid, and Last Stand. Draw 3 more cards and see what we get. So we draw First Aid. So we replaced it. Oh, there's a Genius. Excellent. And we have Maria Hill. Great. Love it. Let me see how many resources it takes to put out Moon Girl. So it says play only if your identity is the champion or genius trait, which she is a genius. Response: after you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each mental resource used to pay for her. So I do have some mental resources that I could use to pay for her. I've got First Aid, I've got Genius, so that would be one nice thing that we could spend. And then we've got the Power of Leadership that we can use for Maria Hill. That'll also allow us to draw another card, and we'll see what we get with U.S. Agent. Maybe we can get 3 allies out on the table here at the beginning of the game. Wouldn't that be great? I think so. So we're going to first off play Moon Girl. We'll use that Genius card, and we'll also use the First Aid to put Moon Girl onto the table. Advantage: draw 3 cards. Response: after you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each mental resource used to pay for her. So we'll draw 3 more cards. We have Photon Beam. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. Place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 progress counters instead if this attack defeats the enemy. That's 1. We also have New and Improved. Choose X different options where X equals Ironheart's version number. Probably not the best time to use that one. And then we have a Moxie that we can use. All right. So we'll hang on to these cards. We'll go ahead and put Maria Hill into play using the Power of Leadership. After Maria Hill enters play, each player draws a card. So I get to draw another card. There's Ingenuity. Yes, love it. I'm getting some good cards here to put onto the table. So Ingenuity says play only if your identity has the Genius trait, which she does, and it says resource, exhaust Ingenuity, and generate a mental resource. I love it. So if we were to use New and Improved and Photon Beam, we have that U.S. Agent that we could put out too. I really like U.S. Agent. But I'm not going to be able to put everything out here at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to use Moxie and New and Improved to put out Ingenuity. And then we will... we want to use that Photon Beam. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. Place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 progress counters instead if this attack defeats that enemy. Well, we're definitely not going to defeat Sandman, but we will be able to put at least a progress counter onto Ironheart if we flip over now. Tell you what we'll do. So we have a hero action over here on the Surging Sands. It says exhaust a character you control. Remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack. Limit once per round per player. So what I'll do is I'm going to exhaust Moon Girl. And because she has 2 attack, it says exhaust a character you control. Remove sand counters here equal to that character's attack. We do this a limit of once per round, so we'll take 2 counters off of the city streets. We'll do that, which is not a bad thing. And we don't take any consequential damage because that's not an attack. So Moon Girl just simply exhausts. But I think Maria Hill, she's going to remove 2 threat from hapless pedestrians. And maybe we will just go ahead and exhaust ingenuity to generate a mental resource. And with that mental resource, it says here, Child Prodigy, we're going to spend one mental resource to place one progress counter on Riri Williams, and this is a limit of once per round. So we will put that progress counter onto Riri. We do need to place one consequential damage onto Maria Hill. I think that we'll just hang on to some cards and we'll draw up 4 more. And we'll just stay in our alter ego form for now. So I'll draw up Ant-Man. I'm going to draw another photon beam. We'll draw another ingenuity. And we'll draw fly over. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. Instead of 2 progress counters, instead if this thwart removes the last threat from the scheme. So that might be a good way to advance Ironheart. We're going to go ahead and ready our ingenuity. We'll ready that Moon Girl. Ready Maria Hill. We're going to put our hand size off to the side over here. We're going to turn things over to Sandman, who's going to place 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. Sandman is now going to attack. He attacks for 2, and this is indirect damage. No, he's not going to attack because he's going to scheme. We're in alter ego form, so he's going to scheme for 1, plus this card right here, which is a 0, assault, and it gets that assault out of the way, like that. So we only place 1 threat on hapless pedestrians, and then we draw our encounter card, which is Calling in Favors. When revealed, Rhino schemes with +2 scheme. If Rhino is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Rhino minion, put him into play, engaged with you. Let's go look and see if we can find Mr. Rhino. Let's see. There's Lester. There's Americano. There's Kennedy. Crimson Addercop. And there's the Rhino. He schemes for 0. He has an attack of 3. He's steady. And steady characters require 2 status cards of the same type to be stunned or confused, and Rhino's attacks gain overkill and piercing. So Rhino is out and about. All right. And he has 8 health. He's a criminal and elite. I'm glad that I didn't draw him as a boost card. That Rhino's no joke. All right, so that's going to end Sandman's turn. That will begin ours. So we've got that photon beam. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. Place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 progress counters instead if this attack defeats that enemy. We've got Ant-Man, U.S. Agent, Ingenuity, and Fly Over. We may be able to advance our Riri this turn as well. So I like it. I like it a lot. But we've got to get rid of that Rhino. He's going to do too much damage to us if we allow him to remain in that on the table. We could either use this as another build turn because we can remove both the threat off of hapless pedestrians using Maria Hill. That will use up Maria Hill if we do that. But Moon Girl can also remove the last of the last. Oh, wait a second. That was a hero action earlier. So I could not actually do that action with Moon Girl because that is a hero action. Exhaust the character you control. Remove sand counters from here equal to the character's attack. So I need to put that back on there. So Moon Girl didn't do anything last turn at all because we were not in hero form. So she just kind of hung out, advanced to this second round, and now we've got things that we could do. All right, so how about we do this? So we were in our genius form. We could spend a mental resource to yeah, I think we'll do that. I think we'll spend a mental resource to place 1 counter using Child Prodigy onto Riri Williams. Okay. And then we will, in fact, flip over to our Ironheart side. Okay, we still have those 2 counters on there. Remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart. Ready her and swap her with version 2 Ironheart. So now we can do our Moon Girl ability, which is to remove 2 counters from the city streets. Well, I need to remember those hero actions, don't I? They're in bold, but when you got bad eyes, it doesn't really matter. So Moon Girl, and then we are going to, using Ironheart, we can either attack for 2 onto Rhino. We could do that flyover. We've got enough resources to do a few things here. So if I spend 2 resources to do a photon beam, yeah, I could do 2 photon beams, and that would get rid of Mr. Rhino over there. I think I'll do that. And maybe we'll just hang on to flyover. Or can we? Do we have enough to do? Nope, we'll have to use everything. We'll have to use everything if that's what we're going to do. So yeah, for photon beam, we're going to do a hero attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy, and place 1 progress counter onto Ironheart. So we'll go ahead and do that 4 damage to Rhino. We'll spend Ant-Man and Ingenuity in order to do 4 damage to Rhino. And we get to place a progress counter onto Ironheart. And then we're going to do another photon beam. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. Place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 progress counters instead if this attack defeats the enemy. So we'll spin a U.S. agent and fly over to do this photon beam to do 4 damage to Rhino. That's going to defeat Rhino. So he's gone. And that gives us 2 more counters onto Ironheart. So I'm going to swap that with a... So we're up to 5 now. We remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart to ready her and swap her with version 2 Ironheart. So we'll go ahead and we will exhaust Ironheart to do 2 damage to Sandman. So that'll knock Sandman down to 14. And we'll just leave Maria Hill here for now. We may or may not need her. We'll ready Moon Girl. We'll ready Ironheart. We'll ready our Ingenuity card. And now we only draw up a hand size of 4. So we'll draw the Energy card. We'll also draw Photon Blasters. You get +2 hit points. Exhaust Photon Blasters. Deal damage to an enemy equal to Ironheart's version number. We also have Go All Out, which is a requirement energy. While paying this card, spend the listed resources. Hero action. Exhaust your hero. Deal damage to an enemy equal to the total of your hero's thwart, attack, and defense values. Good card to play with Ironheart. And one more is Goliath. Goliath gets +4 attack until the end of the phase. That's an action you can do at the end of the phase. Discard Goliath, max 1 per phase. All right, so we have our 4. Anything that can add counters. We don't have anything necessarily to add counters to Ironheart. So we will go ahead and we'll place that 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. Sandman is going to attack. And I think we'll just try to absorb the damage with the characters that I have on the table. So he draws a 0 for the attack. So it's 2 + 0 is 2 attack. So I'll place those 2 attack onto Moon Girl. And now we draw our encounter card for Sandman, and that is an advance. Ooh. So Sandman is going to advance scheme of 1 + 0 for the Sand Clone. So we place 1 more threat on hapless pedestrians. All right. But that will end Sandman's turn. We'll begin my turn, and I think on my turn we are going to, let's see, Go All Out. While paying for this card, spend the listed resources, hero action, exhaust your hero, deal damage to an enemy equal to the total of your hero's thwart, attack, and defense values. So right now we could do a damage of 6 to Sandman if we use the go all out, and we could use energy to do that, but that will leave us with virtually nothing else to do in our turn. Maybe this is when we want to bring Goliath out onto the table because we have enough resources to pay for him, and we do have some ingenuity there for when we flip over to our... We're going to flip down, I think, to our alter ego side. So in an effort to do that, we will begin by spending 4 resources to put Goliath onto the table. So Goliath comes out. Goliath is going to remove 2 threat from hapless pedestrians. So that will do a damage to him. To remove these 2 threat here. And then Maria Hill is also going to remove 2 threat from hapless pedestrians, but that will finish her stint in the game for now, because that consequential damage will knock her out. But it does knock hapless pedestrians down to 0. We've still got our Moon Girl on the table, so we'll exhaust her since we're in the hero form to remove these 2 counters from the city streets. And Ironheart's just going to take a shot at Sandman, knock him down to 12. Then she'll flip over to her alter ego form. And now with her child prodigy action, we're going to exhaust ingenuity to place 1 more counter onto Riri. That'll bring her up to 6, and that's really where we want her to be. Okay, so that's the end of my turn. I've used up all my cards, and I've used up all of my actions. We're going to ready Moon Girl, Ingenuity, Goliath. And now I get to draw a hand size of 6 with 0 threat on hapless pedestrians. So we have Make the Call. We draw Ready for Action. We draw Brawn. While Brawn is exhausted, he gains a resource. Generate a mental resource, limit once per phase. We also have another Make the Call. And we have Squirrel Girl. And one last card is Stroke of Genius. After you spend this card, place 1 progress counter on your identity and draw 1 card. So that's a resource that we can use. And so that's a nice looking hand to go into my next turn. All right, so Mr. Sandman is going to place 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. He's going to scheme for 1 plus 0 is 1. So the sand clone has 0 boost. And then Sandman's going to draw his encounter card. His encounter card is a Sandstorm. When revealed, deal X indirect damage among players divided as you choose, where X is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. If there are no sand counters on city streets, place 3 sand counters on it and shuffle this card into the encounter deck. Well, we've cleared the city streets, so now we're going to place 3 more sand counters over there on the city streets, but we don't take any indirect damage, and that's a good thing. All right, so I'm shuffling that card back into my encounter deck. I'll go grab those 3 counters to put on city streets. Not so bad, right? We can handle it. All right. Okay, so that's all shuffled up. Now we do have Make the Call. We have Ready for Action. We have Brawn. I like Brawn. And we have Squirrel Girl. Okay, so while we are in our alter ego form, let's see what we can do here. Make the Call. Any of these actions, this is a hero action, give an ally you control a tough status card. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and flip. Nope, we're gonna go ahead and add a counter while I'm over here in my alter ego form. Let's see. If we use Stroke of Genius, it says after you spend this card, place 1 progress counter on your identity and draw a card, So Child Prodigy action, spend a mental resource, place 1 progress counter on Riri Williams, limit once per. So we're going to spin this. So we're going to do the Child Prodigy action, and we'll also get to add 1 because of this response here. So that's 2 that we can add to Riri. That'll bring her up to 8. And we get to draw a card using that stroke of genius, which we get the power of leadership. Extra resources. That'll put out a Squirrel Girl for us. Or we can use the make the call to go find somebody to add to the table. So we'll go ahead and we'll flip over to our Riri Williams to our Ironheart side. I'm just going to lay these counters right next to her here so we can keep track of what we got. It's her level up ability says action, remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart and ready her and swap her with version 2. So we'll want to take an action before we actually flip up to the next version. And let's see. If I play Make the Call to go find Maria Hill, that'll draw me another card, and that'll give me enough resources that I could put Brawn onto the table. And we've got Goliath here still. We've got some Ingenuity. We've got some things we can do. All right. Let me see what I have over here in my... So I've got Maria Hill, U.S. Agent. If I go find somebody, I won't be able to put Brawn onto the table because I can't play 4 allies. So I've got Goliath and Moon Girl. Response: after you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each resource. So Make the Call would not play Moon Girl from my hand, otherwise that would be a great move. Let's see what we want to do here. I definitely think I want to put Brawn on the table. So we could spend 1 resource for Ingenuity. Ready for action. Squirrel Girl. Let's do this. Let's spend that Ingenuity. I won't spend too much time here, but Ingenuity is spent. And we'll spend ready for action, Make the Call, and Squirrel Girl to put Brawn onto the table. Okay. So there's that. Now Brawn says while he's exhausted, he gains a resource. Generate a mental resource, limit once per phase. So we'll go ahead and exhaust Brawn to remove those 3 sand counters off of city streets because his attack is 3. It won't do any damage to him. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to exhaust Moon Girl. Yeah, we'll exhaust Moon Girl to remove 2 threat from hapless pedestrians. That'll take our threat down to 0 on our main scheme. And it'll free up some room for us to go find another ally. So we will use Make the Call. I think we'll use that 1 mental resource and the power of leadership. Yeah, to go find... Let's get U.S. Agent. U.S. Agent. He has Retaliate. After this character is attacked, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. So 3 resources to put U.S. Agent out onto the table. Okay, so that takes up all of our resources. We will exhaust Ironheart, remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart, and ready her. So before we do that, we're going to attack Sandman to knock him down to 10. Remove 6 counters from Ironheart to ready her, and we're going to swap her out for version number 2. So version number 2 comes into play. She has Aerial, she's a champion, and she's version 2, level up, remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart, ready her, give her a tough status card, and swap her with version 3 Ironheart. Okay, so now Ironheart is out into play. Goliath. Let's attack with Goliath, or we want to leave Goliath. We'll leave Goliath alone. Maybe he can absorb some of this indirect damage that Sandman is going to put out. But since we're readied on Ironheart, we will do 2 more damage to Sandman. That'll knock him down to 8. Now our hand size is 5. We can leave U.S. Agent alone. I'm not sure if whenever he takes indirect damage, if he can then retaliate for 1. That's probably a rule I should have looked up before I played, whenever I included him in my deck to play against Sandman. Or I'm not sure if I have to actually block with him in order to give the retaliate. And if I block with him, you could still spread it out, I'm sure. So I tell you what, that's how I'll play it, since I don't know the rule, and I'm not going to stop and take a look right now. So retaliate of 1, if I actually try to attempt to block the damage, that's when he'll do the retaliate for 1. So I'll just play it that way. And then later on, I'll look up the rule, or if someone wants to include that rule down below in the comments, that would be fine too. So we'll ready Brawn. We're going to ready U.S. Agent. He has hit points of 5. And we draw our hand size of 5. So we're going to draw Sector Scan, New and Improved, Black Panther, Flyover, and Ronnie Williams. Alter Ego action. This is a hero action. We've got Black Panther, New and Improved, and Sector Scan. All right, so we're managing to kind of keep things at bay for now. We're going to place 1 threat on Hapless Pedestrians. Sandman is going to attack. U.S. Agent is going to defend. We draw a 1, so he does 3 damage. So we'll put 3 damage onto... Let's put 3 damage onto U.S. Agent, and then we'll retaliate for 1 onto Sandman. Okay. Then we'll draw our encounter card, and it is an advance. So we draw for our scheme of 1 plus 0. Wow, we're doing pretty good with those sand clones. To place 1 more threat on Hapless Pedestrians. Okay. So that will end Sandman's turn, and now we get to do a few things. So New and Improved now says choose X different actions where X is equal to Ironheart's version number. Search your deck for an Ironheart card and add it to your hand and shuffle. Give Ironheart a tough status card, or you can ready Ironheart using New and Improved. I want to try to build up these counters so that we can get to the 3rd version of Ironheart. Flyover, we could definitely do it with Flyover because it costs 2. And we can remove 3 threat from a scheme and place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 progress counters instead of this thwart removes the last threat from that scheme. Sector Scan says reduce the cost to place Sector Scan by X, where X is equal to Ironheart's version number. So 3 minus 2, this would cost 1. Until the end of the round, you may look at the top card of the encounter deck at any time. Alter Ego action, exhaust Ronnie Williams, choose. Heal 2 damage from Riri Williams, or place 1 progress counter on Riri Williams. So we got some things we can do. I think first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll use that Sector Scan and New and Improved to pay for that Flyover. Remove 3 threat from a scheme and place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 instead if she thwarts and removes the last threat from the scheme. So we'll do that. We will spend these 2 resources to do the Flyover to remove the threat off of Hapless Pedestrians. And we'll add 2 counters. So we'll swap out the 1 for a 3. Okay. And then we will not do anything with Brawn for now. We will, using Goliath, remove... Nope, we're not going to do anything with Goliath right now either. I could just hang on flip over to my Ironheart over to my, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip over to my, well, we'll do 2 damage first. 2 damage to Sandman. Knocks him down to 5. Now we'll flip over to our Riri Williams side. And she says, Child Prodigy, spend 1 mental resource or 2 resources at any time. Place 1 counter on Riri. Limit once per round. So we'll spend that ingenuity, that mental resource, to place 1 more counter onto Riri. And then we'll put Ronnie Williams on the table. It has an alt, and we'll spend Black Panther to do that. Ronnie Williams says, exhaust Ronnie Williams. Choose heal 2 damage from Riri Williams or place 1 progress counter on Riri. So we put Ronnie on the table. We're going to exhaust her to place another counter onto Riri. So now we're at 6, and that's right where we want to be. So we're ready, U.S. Agent. We'll ready Riri, ready Ingenuity, ready Ronnie, and we have Goliath still on the table. So we have some options. Then we get to draw our hand size of 6. So we'll draw Ready for Action, Rapid Response, Tony Stark AI, a Strength card, Propulsion Jets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is Go All Out. Exhaust your hero, deal damage to an enemy equal to the total of your hero's thwart, attack, and defense values. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So here you go, Sandman. You need your buddies over there, the Marvel Champions Monthly guys, to pop out to help you out. So we place 1 threat on Hapless Pedestrians. He's going to scheme for 1 plus 2 critical encounters Mind Ray. So 3 threat on the Hapless Pedestrians. I think we've already seen both of our advanced cards, so hopefully we won't have to deal with any more of those. And we draw Caught Off Guard, which is discard an upgrade or support you control if no cards were discarded this way. This card gains Surge. So we need to discard a support. Sorry, Ronnie. We'll see you later. Ronnie Williams is gone. Okay, so there's the end of Sandman's turn. Let's see what these propulsion jets do. It gives us +2 hit points. Exhaust propulsion jets. Remove threat from a scheme equal to Ironheart's version number. Not bad. Tony Stark AI. Exhaust Tony Stark AI. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Add 1 to your hand and discard the other. This is an action that can happen in any form. We've got the Rapid Response. After an ally you control is defeated, discard Rapid Response. Put that ally into play from your discard pile and deal 1 damage to it. Not bad. And Ready for Action is another card that we've got. So, with our Ingenuity, we have to spend a energy. Do we have an energy? I don't have an energy. While paying for this card, spend the listed resources. Bummer. If I had an energy in my hand, I could do that action there. But I think we'll be okay for now. Yeah, we'll flip over to our... Let's see. Might as well go ahead and generate a counter to put on Riri. We're going to ready her, or we're going to flip her, sorry, to the Ironheart side. She will remove 2 threat from Hapless Pedestrians or to do 2 damage to Sandman. Which one you think? Let's do 2 damage to Sandman using Ironheart. And now we'll flip up because we can level up, remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart, ready her, give her a tough status card, and swap her with version 3 Ironheart. So we'll spend those 6 counters. She gets a tough card, And now we get to flip her to her final version, version 3, Ironheart, which it has a thwart of 3, an attack of 2, a defense of 3, and has maximum efficiency. Hero action. Remove 1 progress counter from Ironheart and deal 2 damage to an enemy. So she's tough. And she's in her final version now. So I think what I'll do is I am going to Tony Stark. We are going to deck ourselves this turn, so we'll have to keep that in mind. So I think Braun's just going to go ahead and do 3 damage to Sandman. So we place 1 counter onto Braun. 3 damage. 1, 2, 3 onto Sandman. That's going to defeat level 1 Sandman. Level 2 Sandman pops out. He comes into play with 18 health. So we'll go ahead and jump that up to 18. Right there, 18. It says, when revealed, resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. Surging Sands says place 1 counter here and discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters here. So we lose Lester, Cook, and Crow because of the city streets surging. So Lester's gone. And it's still our turn. So we have ready for action. We have rapid response, Tony Stark AI, propulsion jets. Let's put some propulsion jets on the table. It says you get +2 hit points, hero action, exhaust propulsion jets, and remove threat from a scheme equal to Ironheart's version number. So we'll use those 2 strength to put our propulsion jets on the table. And I get 2 hit points. So now we're up to 12. And we're going to exhaust this. This is an upgrade. Exhaust propulsion jets to remove 3 threat from the main scheme. So Hapless Pedestrians goes down to 1. We have some Tony Stark AI. We have ready for action, rapid response. We've still got a resource because Braun is exhausted. So let's spend a rapid response and the Braun resource to put out this support, Tony Stark AI. Exhaust Tony Stark AI, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, and discard the other. So we'll go ahead and do that now. We have a total of 2 cards left in our deck, so we will deck ourselves. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep Stroke of Genius in my hand, and we'll discard Photon Beam. Okay, so now I've got 3 cards in my hand. I've decked myself, so we deal ourselves 1 encounter card, and I'll just put it over here for now. I'll shuffle my deck. Shuffling. Okay, and we'll do some ready for action. If we spend this resource to play ready for action, give an ally you control the tough status card. So we'll give Braun the tough status card. Using the Stroke of Genius, after you spend this card, place 1 progress counter on your identity and draw a card. So we get to place 1 progress counter onto Ironheart, and we'll draw a card, and it is Moon Girl. So we'll hang on to Moon Girl for now, and we'll also hang on to Go All Out. These are 2 cards I'll keep in my hand. Goliath. Shall we attack with Goliath? We'll do 2 damage to ourselves if we do. I think I'll go ahead and do that, yeah, we'll do 2 damage with Goliath. And that will put him at 3 damage. Knock Sandman down to 16. U.S. Agent, Ironheart. Yeah, Ironheart, we'll go ahead and attack with Ironheart to do 2 more damage to Sandman. And that'll knock the tough card off of Ironheart. No, doesn't knock the tough card off. What am I thinking? Next time this character would take any amount of damage, discard this status card instead. So she has a defense of 3. We don't do consequential damage to ourselves. Boy, it's getting late on a Friday evening, isn't it? So we'll ready Brawn. Brawn's got a tough card. We have our U.S. Agent on the table still. We'll ready our Ingenuity. We'll ready Goliath. We'll ready our Tony Stark AI. We'll ready our Propulsion Jets. And we'll draw up our 6 cards hand size that we get now because we're in our 3rd version of Ironheart. So we draw up the Power of Leadership. We also draw Make the Call. We have the Last Stand. And we draw Moxie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. Okay, hopefully the end is in sight. Next turn, hopefully we can do some damage to Mr. Sandman. So Sandman is going to attack. He has an attack of 3. So we'll draw his encounter card, reveal this card attached to Sandman. When you would deal any amount of damage to Sandman, discard Sand form. Instead, resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. So attached to Sandman, when you would deal any amount of damage to Sandman, discard Sand form instead, resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. So that's attached to Sandman now. So we have to figure out how we're going to deal out 3 damage. So Brawn's going to absorb 2 damage using his tough card. I believe that the way that this works is you can exhaust indirect damage up to your remaining hit points by using your tough card. So we'll remove 2 damage from the attack by using this tough card, and then we'll place 1 more damage on U.S. Agent over here. And because I didn't exhaust him to block, I'm going to assume that he doesn't retaliate. But again, that's the rule that I need to go look up later on to make sure that I'm playing it correctly. But for now, I just use the Grim rule, which means that I'm not going to retaliate by taking that damage, because I wasn't the target of the attack because I didn't jump out in front of it. But I'll look that up and see. And again, if anyone knows the ruling, please include that in the comments down below. That'll help me out tremendously. So we deal ourselves 2 encounter cards. So our first encounter card is Sand Smash, Alter Ego, resolve the Surging Sands ability. When revealed, Sandman attacks you with +1 attack. This could be bad. So how about we +1 attack. So he's 3 + 1 will be 4. I've got that tough card, which can absorb 3 indirect damage onto Ironheart. So let's do this. Sandstorms, so 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. So U.S. Agent will take a hit. That'll remove U.S. Agent from the board. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 for Ironheart. 5, 6 for Brawn. We'll knock Brawn out. That way we don't resolve the city. We don't have to activate the city streets because we didn't take damage ourselves. Okay. And then our second one is Tidal Sands. When revealed, place X additional threat here where X is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. Right now there's 1 sand counter on city streets. So this will have 3 threat on it. Okay, good turn for Sandman. Did some damage that time around. All right. So we have Gall All Out, Moon Girl, Power of Leadership, Make the Call, Last Stand, and Moxie. Oof. All right, how about we do this? We're going to play Make the Call using the Power of Leadership. Yeah, we'll do that. Make the Call using the Power of Leadership. We'll go find Brawn. So Make the Call is not a good play unless we go find U.S. Agent. I do think I want Brawn, though. So let me see what resources I can spend to go get Brawn. Nope, I'm not going to do that. I thought maybe I would have... I thought I had Maria Hill in my discard pile. I do not. That was who I would go find. So instead, I think what I'll do is I'll put Moon Girl on the table. We'll use Moxie. And we'll use Make the Call. And we'll use the Last Stand to put Moon Girl out onto the table. So those three resources right there, Make the Call, Moxie, and the Last Stand, we'll put Moon Girl out. Okay. It's 3 mental resources, and we are a champion, so we can put her out on the table. So we get to draw 3 cards. So we'll draw Genius, and we'll draw the Power of Leadership, and we'll draw the Photon Beam. Okay. So, let's see. Maximum efficiency. Hero action. Remove 1 progress counter from Ironheart. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Let's do 2 damage using one of our counters here, our hero action. So we'll hit Sand Form. And Sand Form says, when you would deal any amount of damage to Sandman, discard Sand Form instead and resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. So that will cause us to place 1 more counter on the city streets. And we'll have to discard 2 cards. So we discard Americano. He's gone. And we'll also discard our other Sand Form that's in our encounter deck. Okay. Now then. Go All Out says requirement. While paying for this card, spend the listed resources. It requires 1 energy, which we have in a Photon Beam here. But that will allow us to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. But we have to exhaust her in order to be able to do that. And I have nothing else. Well, I can use... Okay, we can do it this way. We can use our Power of Leadership to play Go All Out, and we still have our Photon Beam that we can use. Deal 4 damage to an enemy and place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that first. So we will. I still have Tony Stark AI, and I still have the propulsion jets that we can use. But for now, let's just do this. So we'll spend 2 resources to play the Photon Beam, deal 4 damage to an enemy, and place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. So we'll do 4 damage to Sandman. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll place 1 counter onto Ironheart. Okay. Let me check something here on that Sand Form for a second. It says when you would deal any amount of damage to Sandman, discard Sand Form. Okay, I was just making sure that it didn't need to be an attack in order for that Sand Form to happen. Just double checking myself and make sure I didn't do that wrong. Okay, so now I think we've got it because Sandman's down to 10. And with the Power of Leadership, we could play Go All Out. While paying for this card, spend the listed resources, hero action, exhaust your hero, deal damage to an enemy equal to the total of all my threat, attack, and defensive values. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to spend this right here, Power of Leadership, to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage to Sandman. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It takes Sandman down to 2. We'll exhaust our propulsion jets to remove 3 from the title sands. That'll remove that threat from that side scheme from the table. Goliath will exhaust Goliath to remove 2 threat from hapless pedestrians. This is in the solo league. This is the kind of thing that you'd want to end the game with. No threat on the table, no side schemes on the table, and a little bit of health on your side of the table. So now we'll just leave Moon Girl there because it's going to give us 3. Let's do one more thing here with Tony Stark AI. We'll draw 2 cards. 1, 2. Flyover and Ronnie Williams to discard one of them. Doesn't really matter at this point. We'll just discard Ronnie Williams. And then using our counter, our hero action, remove a progress counter to deal 2 damage to the Sandman. That will knock Sandman all the way down to 0. So Sandman, standard Sandman, is defeated. Flip his dial. Ironheart with Moon Girl on the table, so we'd have 12, 13, 14, 15 health on the table, no side schemes on the table, no threat on the table, and no minions on the table either. So that's a clean win for Ironheart. Ironheart has some pretty interesting abilities here. She has a strong deck. When you level her up quickly, you can see the tremendous amount of damage that you can do with Ironheart. And I really like Moon Girl. Plays well with Ironheart. Most of the cards I included in my deck today had mental resources on them, so that's how we were able to use Moon Girl. The downside was we didn't have very many energy cards, and I included that Go All Out, so I have to keep in mind that there's a requirement on that card, so I probably would do well to add a couple more energies in my deck as well. So, but anyway, that's my Friday afternoon playthrough. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm the Board Game Lawyer. Thank you for watching tonight. And if you want to get in touch with me, my email address is boardgamelawyer@gmail.com. And I'd like to thank the Marvel Champions Monthly Podcast guys again. Sorry you didn't pop out in the game today. That would have been nice. But you stayed buried in the deck. Addercop and Kennedy Hawk. I definitely will play with this modular set again, see if we can't unearth some of those guys. But anyway, thanks for watching the playthrough today, and I hope to bring you another video again very soon. Take care, folks.